So, hello and welcome to everyone. Happy to see you all here on another hot summer day, at least here in Denmark. Though it's raining a lot. I've had a little bird tell me that it's the same in England. And Bill is going to join us hopefully later. But other than that, we also have LittleWing. Hello.
Hi, Archangel. Hi, chat. How are we doing?
Great. I hope so. Let's see. I don't know if anyone has actually joined the chat yet or something, but let's see if anyone put up support in a second or something. But we actually have quite programs to cover today. We both have some, of course, some predictions. We, of course, have some live matches that we would love to have a look at. There's several going on already. And we also have some Q&A regarding the new redraft that is coming at the end of the season. There's, if any of you in chat comes with any questions, we'll go over that also later. But it's just to sort of cover what we are looking at tonight. So I think we should start by deep diving. And since Phil is, of course, playing a match, which is why he's not on comes with us, I think we should have a look at his first match. What do you think?
It's an interesting matchup for him, actually.
Definitely. I was just going to say it's been an earlier touchdown or something, but no, it's... Just for a second there, I was like, they clearly this must be turn one.
Yeah, not much. Well, it's very controlled at the moment.
Definitely.
So I think both these guys are on 5 points, aren't they? They're sort of 7th and 8th or something at the moment.
Oh, you raise a really good question. I think they're both at 5 points. Yes, I think that's correct. Now I will have to check something in the background here to see if that's correct. If my of all people that you know, I should probably know, being the one who plays in this league, but they're both at 4 points.
Oh, 4. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sort of taking a bit of an interest in this as well, given predictions. But
Yes, makes good sense. I would also say it's a very interesting Dark Elf team in the sense that you got no fewer than 3 guards, which means that actually the Dark Elves have more guard than the Lizardmen. And the Lizardmen have both a super skink, but they also have a strength 5 Saurus, which is really interesting. It's also interesting. It seems like the UI. I don't know if it's just on my screen, but it appears as if when the options come up on the wheel, it isn't shown correctly on my screen here.
yeah, hang on, let me check Twitch because
Of course, there's nothing
Yeah.
coming up.
So is that Snow Troll abandoning the idea of a Croxigore then by trying to build a...
I think it is more a monetary issue. Yeah, that's... you almost just have to eat that one, don't you? That's gonna be rough. 4 Sauruses versus a wall of Blood Dutch. That's rough. But yeah, I think it's like because of the 1400, it was cut down probably, and then I think getting that money back to sort of actually buy things has been rough. So. Yeah, I was good to see. I foresee this one getting surfed if he's not careful. Yeah, see, it's not showing anything here. At least you can see in the lock.
Yeah.
Like, I'm really not sure. What are you supposed to do here as the Lizardman player, already being 2 sources down?
It just happens in Blood Bowl, doesn't it? I had my match day 3 was the same, 9 dwarfs left after 2 turns. It's just, there's an air of inevitability about it in the end.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes it's just the dice turns really quickly, and then it's like, well, it's already settled at that point.
Yeah.
He seems to be I was just gonna say, it looks almost like for a second that he's going to try to foul that piece. Standing up. Very interesting here. What is... being we sort of accepting the touchdown and just going like, I'm going to protect my players and just mitigate as much attrition as possible at this point, it looks like.
I'm probably worried. Well, no, the surf is not. Okay, so Phil hasn't got his witch yet.
No, but he does have a Frenzy Blitz piece here.
Oh, there we go, yeah.
So, definitely something that can cause a lot of havoc here. So, that is definitely something to be mindful of. Yeah. Is he going to kidnap another Saurus and end his life here in a second? If that happens, this match is more or less over.
They are down and surrounded by the opposing team. This isn't going to be
I think Snow Troll would happily have swapped that for a stun on 2-1s instead.
Yeah.
So.
That's a strong start, Phil. What is it?
That might help a bit. Not a huge, but it definitely helps. You gotta get... see if you can't get rid of that one. More or less. Here, maybe. 2, 4. Pop in here. Fold open that one. This is going to be important.
Okay, he's got it.
Yeah. Ah, stunned. This is still a huge help. But, you dare to go over here? I think it's fine enough because you don't want Dagios to start swinging for the other side here. Should we have a look at one of the other matches?
Andy, yeah, I mean, I've got some partial interest in the Blue Lights BB Knot games.
Oh, yeah. I had a sneak peek in that a little bit earlier. Seems like Nut got off to a really bad start, I would say. I think the Wood Elf stole the ball and scored turn 2 on him, on his drive. That's pretty rough. What is it? 600,000 difference in team value?
Yeah, Blue Lights got pretty beat up in the last game.
And I... failed jump.
Pressure's on again.
So we got 2 injured. What else? No injuries on the Sunbloom. Remember a special rule. What is that again?
A snotling baked in a pie stands more chance than this poor kid. Actually, Where's the nearest pie shop?
Oh, she has Hail Mary pass once turn. Interesting. A little bit curious to see here. It's this is the Wood Elf end, right? Yeah, this is the.
The players on the pitch also think of their
So
stands. They
the
too
Wood Elves are really pressuring.
Yeah, I think they're about to go to one. Maybe got a chance of 2-0.
On the dark Urkel drive. That's going to be really hard to. Yeah, you want to get in there. You are going for high pressure. Huh. We are not. Oh, we already blitzed. That's why. I was just gonna say that's makes all sense then. Just waiting for a blitz, but it'll already be done. Fireball. Oh my god. That is. You almost.
Okay, I was just waiting for the fireball.
Here, 2+. Hope for not getting bucked down. Can you get up here yet? 2 rolls. Push. Unlucky. I think if Blue Lights get the second touchdown on the Nurgle drive, the game is basically over. I don't see Nurgle scoring 3 times at least next half. Yeah.
No, but he's got a wizard in the back pocket as well, so...
Yes. But I would almost put it this way. I think even if you cleared the pitch, Nurgles would have still a hard time making 3 touchdowns. Gonna risk it all. And unlikely dodge. Oh. Ooh. That had been a...
That was interesting, that 1D.
Yeah, I would definitely have brought this one over if it had been me.
Yeah. I mean, he'd have failed the...
Yeah, but like... You would have had more material in place, so to speak.
Yeah.
But I think he's slightly worried about the attrition. That he's valuing the players more than... What does he have? He has 2 spare players. They go on there. So 50-50, and he's kept at 11, right? 10, depending on if the KO returns. And I don't really think the Nurgle is going to try for a touchdown here. I think they actually wish they had the Hail Mary pass at this point. That is important. What are the odds that we're going to see a foul on that?
Always missed it.
I was going to say it was like guaranteed, more or less, right?
Yeah. Now, do you use the fireball here?
No.
No, you save it for defense.
Yeah, so I generally find that the fireball is more useful as than an actual thing. Because it really makes the opponent have to think much more about what they do. And at this point, if you're going to go for a Daka on the second half, which will make most sense, right? The fireball will be really handy for basically getting a, say, mid-half easy touchdown, right? So you don't even have to push it and risk it for it to fail on a snake.
Hey, things are getting interesting. Oh, let's see move.
That I would not do.
Capitalize. His team has the ball.
Okay, no, you left the square over there, and it's okay. If you left it here, I would try to serve it. Cost.
Yeah.
That's a hell of a move.
Here it's not gonna happen. 1, 2.
Is smiling or leering?
Oh my god.
Oh, risky.
That was so close.
Jesus Christ. It's one of those things where like you just go like, wow.
Well, I played Blue Lights a couple of seasons ago in
Yeah.
the FA Cup, and the one thing is he will try these,
Yeah.
ridiculous
Is a
plays, and I
second
guess
field.
fair play to him, because if you don't buy the ticket, you can't win. So
No.
Night, night.
And then it's like
Really?
everything succeeds on a 6, right? So if you just try 6 times, it's gonna succeed one of the good times, right?
Still, I'm
Yeah.
willing to bet a good punch will have your
Yeah.
face down in the mud. Get up or get off the field. The player's on the ground.
You're gonna foul.
Kicking.
5 gold pieces says he gets kicked in the face first.
Just a merry pass and then a handoff.
The ball is in the player's hand.
He would have liked to swap that for the 6th. If that had been reversed, right?
yeah,
It also has the beautiful effect that it's going to be really hard for it. What else he has to do? Anything? Even like not within reach. Technically within reach. But who to throw it to? No one.
nobody saw.
Yeah, the range is just would be around here, right? We can't even throw it
Yeah.
to. Needs a middle stop.
Well, game's still on. Because that would have been 2-0. That would have been over.
Yeah. Though I think with it being blue lights drive, so to speak, right? It's gonna be really hard for Nurkles to stop it.
Oh, of course, yeah. It's yeah, that's not good.
Yeah, if it was going to be Nurkle's drive now, it would be definitely different. But without that, it is going to be really uphill. So I think that's more or less in the bank for blue lights, unless he like. There's always the problem with that with elves, right? Is there's always the chance of snake eyes, right? That's Skaven versus Wood Elf. This should be has the potential of being really interesting. Someone getting punched in the face. That's surprisingly not scary. Clean power on a single place.
Yeah, Ringtail struggled at the start of this season, hasn't he?
Yeah. I think
Who did
it's
he play? He has played with Phil. And then some Orcs. And then some Lizard, yeah. he's pretty beat up from last season as well.
Yeah. Hey, Mark. I think the way that Ringtail likes to play his Skaven is with a deep bench, and having to cut down to 1400 really doesn't suit that sort of.
The player remains very quiet. He may not
Uh.
be noticed. Can't argue with that call, can you, Bob?
And then if you meet up with some bashes teams to begin with, it can also make your wallet spiral in a not so pleasant direction, right?
Yeah.
Ooh, that's important.
I think last season, I think he started with maybe 15 players or 14 certainly.
Yeah.
But this season 11.
Yeah. I don't know. I think his team is too bashed up from last season, and having to cut it down to 11 is hurting him at this point.
Yeah. Be interesting to see what he chooses to do with some of these players, because with the new healing rules, which I'm sure we'll
definitely.
talk about later.
I think his team is better off with the new redraft than the 1400 cap.
Yeah. I think there's a slight advantage for Agi. I don't think it's as big as was maybe advertised after thinking about it for a bit, but it's going to make it easier for the Agi teams.
I think there's two aspects to it. There is a teams that work out of the box, like straight out of the box, like Orcs or Skaven or Wood Elves or something like that, is clearly going to benefit from it, because you can always just cut down to players that work from the scratch. Whereas if you have to cut down to a new, fresh, say, Saurus, Chaos Warrior, whatever, it's not going to work. You need to build it. And by the time you build it, it's gone 2 seasons. It starts getting too expensive again. You need to cut it. And so by at least having some players, like looking at what else here, right? Like having a Warden that works just perfectly out of the box. The Thrower works out of the box and everything else, right? So having to cut down to start players isn't a huge issue. That means you can save a lot of the fees. And then teams that don't rely on a lot of players to function, meaning, for example, like Wood Elves is a prime example. Like you need one good catcher, you need 2 good war dancers, and technically everything else is cannon fodder. That means you only need to worry about paying fees on 3 players. Everything else you can just reshuffle every season, right? And that means, like, especially something like Lizardmen again, who they need to have 6 Sauruses, but that's 6 times fees each season, and you will most likely have several of those will need to have more than 1 season, and then you're up to double fees, and then you probably also need 1 skink that can actually do something with the ball. Again, a fee, right? Like, and now you're basically really pushed for money, right? So teams like Wood Elves that can do magic with a few skilled players, and rest is cannon fodder. Same goes for Skaven, for example, or Chaos Renegades, something like that. I think he's going to be the winners of this. Orcs too, in a way, because their team works pretty much out of the box. They need a little bit more players, but they also have more players to sort of spread out on having. Oh, so half my blitzers and half my beacons are surviving this season, and then it's the other half next season, right?
Yeah. Well, that's going to be key, isn't it? Managing the production line.
Oh yeah.
For everybody.
Oh yeah. Definitely going to be a thing to sort of be mindful of, if especially if you want to stay in sort of the same division as over time. Because if you are, and we've seen this quite a few times, that people get up to Aldolf or Prem, and then their team basically blows out, because it's sort of like, yeah, it's not sustainable. I think this is saying, like, you fill it with hot air and it imploded on itself at the end, right?
Yeah.
I find you a touch optimistic, Bob.
No, I don't think that's going to be really important, but but interesting to see at least. But yeah, so we already mentioned, but for those who are new to chat, if you have any questions about the new redraft rules, do just type away, and we'll try to answer them as good as possible. I am not a expert on the redraft rules, but I have read a bit up on them and tried to understand them as much as possible. At least the how to say seeding of teams and how to do that aspect. The whole removal of nickels and stat busts and all that sort of thing. I haven't really read that much into yet, but I know that's also an option now you can do. I don't know, LittleWing, if you know that side of the redraft that well.
I don't. Other than I know that I think you have a 50% chance of healing, and you don't know until you've hit the redraft button. So it is a bit of a risk if you're going to keep that player and try and heal it. You've got to take it in until you can replace it to the next season. So.
Likes to be well assisted in a fight.
So it was actually the Skaven's drive, and the Wood Elves picked the ball from them.
With routes like his,
That's.
it's going to be easy to shift.
I'm not so sure. With a good block to the trunk, you'll end up.
Question is here, like if you're the Wood Elves, you're already ahead 1 point. If you can just score a fairly quickly touchdown, you should have more or less cemented the win, right?
Yeah.
The only difference is this is not Nurgle. Skaven can definitely do 3 touchdowns and a half.
Yeah.
What's that player doing?
But I not seen a level of attrition, at least yet, on the Wood Elf team that makes me too worried. They have. That is some banged up elves.
Yeah, Louis, do you know what? Because I was adminning up Alt of West last season, and Louis did a remarkable job of getting promoted. I think he was unbeaten.
Yeah.
And he was banged up all the way and not exactly carrying prime catchers or war dancers. So he did a really good job last season. I'm not surprised to see him going fairly strong in the Prem.
A good coach always uses the right player for the right.
But that's also the thing that we talked about, the production line, right? Like you need to have players that can substitute for your players when they start getting too banged up. Because if you don't, you will, and you've seen that a few times with teams where like they rely on a classic example is the Super Ghouls or the Super Dark Elves and the Chaos Renegade team, right? Like the if that player dies, it's basically a game over for the team, right? Yeah. We're definitely going for. Sorry?
Sorry.
No, I was just going to say they're definitely going for a strong denial of an early touchdown here.
This is going to be decisive. Jeremiah Cool always says superior skills prevail.
Yeah, now the pressure is starting to mount on the Wood Elf here. Don't like this gap here, though. What can we do? Run. Pass. Tip here. Makes sense. A 2+ touching. Got a runner with leap and everything.
Please see your instruction guide for further details.
Don't be stupid, Jim. Nobody ever reads the instructions.
think he's going to try to sack the ball carrier next turn.
Yeah.
That's going to help, of course, a little bit, but
Lovely piece of blood. Play in action.
Okay.
ouch. It's a brave.
Slippery like an eel.
Oh,
Squash him next time.
yeah. I just noticed she has stand firm, so you need to do that. Ooh. Just take it. Oh, it's another player, but it's not worth it.
What a speedster.
What's that? 3, 6.
Okay.
And do it if you want to, if you're really greedy. Cut here.
I think you've got to go for it, haven't you? I mean, by the... Oh, no, okay.
Yeah. That sort of makes sense too in this way, because it's sort of like you're cutting away the only scoring threat, right? It gives you time to re-establish everything. But on the other hand, it's like, I don't think they would have, like a better word, cage is going to be less fragile next turn. So, but yeah. It's interesting to see. But yeah. What maybe picked here so that you could cover it? Is it because you could get it within range still? 3, 6. Well, you get it within range. A little bit risky, but you get it within range. Well, you're not going to be running a lot when you're stunned, right?
Yeah, this needs to be good cover because
That play looked almost competent.
you're just eating into turns as well. I guess that's the other thing.
It's always that thing about like managing the clock of the match, right?
Well, at least they're not dead.
But okay, if you can keep this level of attrition, I think Ringtail is going to be happy to do this for a couple more turns.
I think he's going to make him suffer.
Just think they'll be rolling before
Player down,
moving this one.
surrounded by the opposing team. This isn't going to be
Okay, so the boot is going in.
Yes.
He's not looking. Get in there.
Okay, we don't want to bring like... Yeah, thank you. Oh, it's because we... Oh, okay. A little bit more on this. If he got sent off, this game would be really on the back foot, and if he injured the Wood Elf would be really on the back foot. Swap around and see if Phil has... I was going to say close the match at this point already. I think he has. That means that he can join us quickly.
Right.
If he's done beating the poor Sauruses. No, the Sauruses has managed to score. That is quite impressive.
They lost it. Okay, yeah. So that KO guy hasn't come back yet, or he's gone out again.
That's a good question. But yeah. So we down to 8 Sauruses versus a full Dark Elf team. That is gonna... Oof, that's gonna be some defense. It's gonna say, like, short of a blitz, it's gonna be uphill.
Yeah.
Or am I be seeing wrong here? No, it just looks like he's setting up for a... No, he's defending, right? Like, yeah, defending... Yeah. It's just because when you look, put players like this, I'm thinking, oh, clearly he must be receiving.
Just trying to cover the back end, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, if you don't want... So I think the idea was to not get sort of like tagged and be able to move, but then you need to go further back, and then you basically conceded the field to the Dark Elves, right?
Yeah. Phil's got 3 rerolls still. I think this is... Where does that take him? Puts him in 4th.
Like, it needs to be a blitz here on this. Get a ref is definitely it is gonna be a game here, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now he's gonna go on a killing spree on top of everything else. That's
Gathering around that lone player, like halflings round a sandwich.
that's gonna be it's probably gonna feel like a really long half for Snow Troll at this point.
Yeah.
3 dice and everything. Question is almost here. Do you go for the skink first? Well, you do, well. Here's that problem.
Yeah.
We need to think tactical when his dice just solves it for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Almost competent.
I think he's going to make it.
Yeah, get a foul. Yeah, now comes the question up for like. What? No, I did not.
Or maybe he just feels he's far enough ahead.
Could be. Could be like the gentleman thing. Or at least like put this one down here.
Team's gonna play hidden up their collective sleep, then they need to action it before time runs out.
That is interesting.
I guess he doesn't want to lose that guy to the boot. He's got no Apo left.
Yeah. I think this match is over. Which of the other matches do you want to peek into?
Yeah. But Ceremal's playing tonight with some woodies. It's always
Yeah, Amazons.
against both of these guys have had a tough start.
It's 1-1, and we are down to final Wood Elf turn now, right? No, final Lady's turn. Gonna put some color on this because otherwise it gets kind of confusing. All that.
Not far from the end zone.
always takes me a while to work out
Probably say something meaningful to all
what
our
end is
television
what.
viewers.
Yeah.
Oh,
The tag of the team is on the end of the field.
Oh, of course it is.
Yeah. That's, but it still also takes me some times.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's the right decision. A little bit expensive, but I think it's the right decision. Yeah. It's almost to this point where it's like, should probably almost stay.
they're still standing.
Because it's more a question of where this gets bounced into now. There's the problem. If it goes here or down here, you want to clog up these so they don't come down and take it.
That player's bouncing up faster than an inflated squig.
No.
Players about to get punched above and below the belt.
Oh, that's why.
Same time.
We wanted that for the assistance. Yeah. The problem now is the ball goes here or here. You are really pressured.
Yeah. +3, even with dodge, is never been that high.
That helps a player move without risk. The defense are dropping.
Yeah, that's gonna be.
Two kings
I was gonna say it doesn't get much worse than this, in fairness. Wow.
And that's what I love about this game. That was, I mean, you said it beforehand, and it was just, it was so going to happen.
Oh, definitely. Just like, okay, he could have ended up here. He could have. It should end up here. Really unlikely, but he could have ended up here, and it would be a touchdown. Like that's a huge swing. Like it's not not likely that it'll bounce from here to up here, in that corner. But like it potentially could. Of course, a double failed. Yeah.
That the company that you agreed to bad gambling debts to?
2+ with a reroll, 2+ and a win.
That has nothing to do with my
Yeah.
spontaneous endorsement.
Yeah, that's.
Very nice move.
He's got a 2, just for that extra bit of soul to rub it in, right?
The ball is in the end zone, and according to Knuckles' sacred text, we have a touchdown.
Well played.
It'd be interesting to see how Amazons are going, actually, league-wide. I don't think they've had a good start. Or the sense I get, anyway.
No, I think Amazons would probably have done a lot better if they had started with all the other teams at the same age, than coming into pre-built like competition more or less. And I also think like you really need to know how to play them to make them work, because they are really susceptible to all sorts of issues, right? They can definitely work, not saying that, but they are sensitive to.
Yeah, I mean, the Jaguars, they make a huge difference to the old Amazon anyway.
Oh, definitely. Also, the not full blitzers. That's also Ooh.
Oh dear me.
Yeah. Blue Lights just needs to hold out for one more turn.
Be okay.
You're just putting him in the corner square, aren't you, and screening?
Yeah, I don't see what else. Like definitely playing a high attrition level
Yeah.
Blood Bowl here, but
Well, the loaners did well for him. I think
Yeah.
what are they? 4 loaners and
yeah.
injuries.
So it seems actually injuries on loners is that's the only one he's corner in front.
Yeah.
Yeah, I put it there. I don't think it really matters, but I'll put it there. I might be wrong.
Personally, I couldn't block that.
Or the tree versus Rudder. Mark, you got a player named after you.
Nice. Very nice.
I hope it's a tribute and not a.
That's a very risky play.
Oof. Yeah, I gotta try. Just hope for good bats. The remaining L's.
Well, that's a pretty good result for Altdorf East. Blue Lights was unbeaten until that, so that keeps it nice and tight at the top.
That's good.
Although I'm sure BB not would disagree.
It's funny how sometimes, depending on what side of the fence you're on, you have different opinions, right? What is this? This is Alliance versus Orcs, right?
Yeah.
The Orcs want to go this way. I think these are soon to be Prem players.
The player's going for it.
Yeah, I think where are they? This is Alt West, isn't it?
Yeah.
So yeah, if the Orcs can win this, Dionysus goes into third. And Rufus is unfortunately 12th at the moment.
Before trying anything else.
They're booked down pretty well here. Like, alrighty, both there. Here. You can run off with the throw, but I'm not sure if that's really a good idea.
Helps.
Now he's fighting to move freely.
I think you might come to regret that. No. Just thinking, yeah, if we could do some really cheeky stuff here, but we can't really.
Sort of manufactured a cage. Then.
Yeah,
And now the ball carrier is free to move.
but it's a really fragile cage that is based and everything, so it's not really not optimal to say.
Oh no, my mistake. He's on the ground.
Definitely say the least.
Oh dear. I hope that player
Yep.
has written a will.
And then we get an assist,
Players can barely
Yeah.
speak, Jim, let alone write.
and we have a catcher to pick up the ball afterwards.
Yeah, I mean, actually, there's a risk of a
Good comes from
turnover
spending any time
touchdown.
on the
Here.
ground in this
Yeah. There, right. Are you gonna do it that way?
That's
So I would have taken the 2 dice here, and
yeah.
and then have had him to pick up the ball.
What's that player doing?
Gotta push him over here now. Yeah.
And here comes the other team.
And a KO. Wow.
And the ball bounces. Oh no, okay. Well, that would have. that would
Yeah,
have worked
just
out.
for a second there, I was just like, okay, is this all all you want in one go?
Oh, too easy.
An interesting technique. I'm
That's a
sure
bit brave.
I
Get why.
serves just as well.
Should probably have followed.
You pushing him down, leaving him up for the touchdown.
So yeah, I was gonna say like let's put him down here, but like by pulling up over here, right? There's no one to assist this one, and these aren't getting away, so they can't. Right now, he can punch this guy, then he gets up, he moves over here, and then can punch this guy, right? So, and we're not really blocking off anyone over here.
Yeah, that was odd.
You know, I may actually say
Right, Jim, but there's something else.
Well, that's the braver option, yeah. Yeah, you want to get away from the surf, right?
and yet so much can still happen.
But you also don't want to nosedive, because if he nosedives, he's access to the ball.
Yeah. So I mean, you can free up the guard big and
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know why he needs to be guy up.
If we do that,
The attacker has an assist.
we can actually give 2 dice to that one.
Yeah.
Good call. Intimidation is the key. It was one of my strengths when I was still.
Yeah. Just not hope for... No.
No, because he's left him the 1 die here.
Yeah. Oof.
That's why I love this game.
I think, yeah. Taking the ball is the right thing here. Well, it's going to be a push, right? But other than that, I would say it would have been better to do it the other way around. Because this guy up here would have cemented the ball, right?
Yeah.
Now he's sort of like...
But I think he followed up with the mighty blow.
No, I don't...
And so, yeah, he left himself with a 1D with the other blitz.
Yeah.
They look almost
No, as Mark says, I don't think you should have followed here.
Because you got a 3+.
We roll that one.
Always uses the right player for the right job.
Why are we? Let's see. Okay, I would have probably put him down here, make the distance up to the ball higher, kept him here, keeping him marked, and then you would have had 2 dice on that one to block here. Right? At least that's.
They'll need to scoop up that ball and quick.
Yeah, because you're away here with the
Count those
catcher if you can pick it up.
They'll have to pick
Yeah.
up most of them off the ground in a few seconds' time.
You're gonna follow.
Player move without
You're gonna go over here so you can get block these two. Of course, you can also do something else. Like this leaves this one unmarked, which I'm not a big fan of. Otherwise, we would have got in here, picked the ball up, made a run for it, or yeah, probably run it that way. If you want to be really cheeky, what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Hand off, run. Yeah, fine. We need some shielding over here, and then bring the ball in here. Yeah. That's not shielding.
How about a refreshing glass of Bloodweiser?
He's gonna clear there, and then there's 2 free here. Yeah, you gotta take the 2 dice with that guy. You get 3 dice with that guy, but you need the tackle.
Also on tonight's show, Big Jobo Hairyfoot comes back from the
Dodge over here, 2 dice. Dodge.
captain of the
Oh no.
Greenfield Grass Hunters.
Yeah, Levy. We saw some of your game. That's really rough.
Oh, it finished 2-2, Louis. Wow. Yeah, Ringtail's done that to me before. It's Skaven, isn't it?
I hate playing in Skaven. You give like just a sniff of like something goes, and it's like, yeah, it's gone. It's they will eat your arm and leg with a fraction of an opening. Blam.
Yeah.
You gotta go down. That's right. And the removal. Oh, it's the safe hands. Yeah, like 1 turn touchdowns versus Skaven is more. It's impossible to stop there. Like, yeah, it's rough, but I think you're gonna have to leave it on the ground.
That last burst of speed.
You're still in the mix, Louis. I just checked the table.
Yeah.
So you're joint 3rd. Doing well, Nick.
Why are we pushing him? Attack. Attack. Blitz 1. I think we will say something that's been said before, but the only good rat is a dead rat. But then again, I think that goes for a lot of the players, right?
Absolutely.
Why are we stepping all the way in here?
Yeah, it's got 1-1 mark, I think. But who knows?
Oh, that's... No.
They're going for the ball.
Throwed it. Okay, still got another shot.
Yeah, do that at least.
Balls, Jim.
Don't reward it.
This player likes to be well assisted in the fight.
You guys got him.
He does. He really got him.
Oh,
Those bounces, they have... they're very kind. You gotta dodge out here and try to tag this one now.
yeah. I think that just shows my powers of prediction, which we'll see later when we look at the league table. I agree with Mark instantly that it's going to be 1-1 and then that.
Yeah, I think I've definitely improved with my predictions from last season, but then again, that wouldn't take much. I think when he watches this replay, I think he will regret not trying for that. Yeah. Oh, that's important. There's no Rio to save you. Well, it's not over yet, but the fat lady is definitely warming up.
I mean, I guess at the very least, Old World have got at least a draw out of it.
Yeah.
What are we doing? One dwarf 1D block blitzer to free up that.
Yeah, I was just thinking what we do. Like if we're a little bit cheeky, we go down here. Can actually dodge with this one because he does have a pro skill, right? Then blitzer in here.
Are you dodging or are you trying to 1D to push that blitzer back?
I would tag here to get the assist. No,
Yeah.
one assist is not going to cut it, is it? No.
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 So maybe the dwarf blitzer 1Ding the orc blitzer to give a bit of space.
Since we are now zapped across the old world,
So technically, if we can get this one to clear this one, like single dice with a pro, right? Like not super, but option, but because that gives you the assist, it gives you the second assist. Go do something else. Do 2 dice there, 2 dice there, but then you're gonna miss the last dice down here.
Unless you blitz the last one to move him around. So if you blitz this blitzer.
Well, you could then now block this here, right? And hope he goes down there. Then you can blitz with this guy. Problem is, if you block here and it gets to be a push, you are you gonna go backwards? Well, maybe not been actually not that dumb, but a bit risky, but not too dumb. Back and over.
Oh, he's on 15, isn't he? He's on turn 15.
Yeah. Yeah, and then over. Yeah, like that. screen. Let's just hold everything else in place. So the prediction of 1-1 kept true. I was wrong yet again.
I can't see how if he tags this up, either the Orcs or not.
I think you're gonna have to do like a
Double dodge with a big one.
just
Or that one,
dodge,
yeah.
two-bit dodge, going for it, and then just it's the same down here. Let's go for that.
Yeah.
Actually, what I would do with this one, because at least if we can push upwards, dodge, going for it, and a 1. And a push. Damn, dice. Yeah. Do you bring him down?
Dodge the other guy.
You can also just dodge this guy over, so that if he goes out, he just open this one up. But I'm not worried really.
You may as well bring the other big one down and
Yeah.
try. There's no use in it.
Yeah.
Got it. Look at that. Elves.
Else, who needs a guillotine anyway?
I've seen granite fracture more easily than that kid's head.
Let's try to free this one up and go down here.
Is the assist going to be enough to come out on top? This the attacker smells weakness.
Oh my god. One, 2, 3, and do the same trick again. Yeah, there's a slight difference here now. They have guard.
You blitz down, don't you?
Yeah, like I would have put them all 3 up here, and then you would have able to do 2 dice and then run out again like you did last
Yeah.
time. But now because you split them up and they both got guard, you can't do that. And I think that's what he's realized. That's why it's.
Yeah.
So now that you've done that, I think you need to go down here and blitz upwards, so it goes over here and you can dodge out that way.
Sticking south of the. Yeah.
Yeah, so I prefer the pitch the upwards, because the problem is now, like, even if unless this gets to be a POW, you stuck between these two.
Yeah, it's true. He could have put the blitzer due south of that.
Yeah, and then blitz upwards.
And or blitz upwards or blitz down and push to the side. But he's got, if he doesn't get a POW now, he's
Yeah, it's pretty in a rough position. Well, we can also just skull it and fail, and then... Well, we are back to the prediction. We are good at doing predictions.
Mark, you were right. 1-1.
Clearly, we were so good at predicting that we saw this a mile away. That's clearly what happened here. Ye of little faith. I never doubted it for a second. Never any doubts here.
Oh, it's nice dwarfs to watch.
And I bet the Amazons was like, there's nothing that I love more to play against than dwarves. I do, however, remember a match where like 7 of my dwarves were injured within the first 3 turns versus Amazons. And it was like new Amazons versus new dwarves. There was 7 dwarf injuries in the first 3 turns. So I was just like, okay. Not how I was seeing this match going.
I think we could. That's interesting. Sneaky get
Sneaky get on
On a
both.
on both runners.
Oh my god. I have not seen that before. Oh.
You think that's a random?
No.
No.
I think it's really annoying that they don't show you any team value on here, but yeah, this match is over. Wow. Wow, this is rough. Oh my god.
What division is this actually?
Yeah, I was just thinking, is this even like this is ours, right? Did he lost in despair? Just checking here. Pretty sure I clicked the right there. Yeah. Griffin Wood. That's definitely a different take on Dwarf than what I'm used to seeing, but
Yeah, that is. Well, these two are before this game they were 1 and 2. So the Amazons were in first place, the Dwarves were in second, both unbeaten.
yeah. Let's see. Badly hurt. Passing right.
And those are both randoms.
Are they
They're
randoms?
sneaky. They're both randoms, yeah.
Oh, how many of the guards is random?
Both blitzers have chosen guard, and yeah, the guards are all chosen.
Okay.
I mean, what do I know? But I think that's probably the wrong way round for randoming. But
Double sixes. What are you gonna do? Like run off? Yeah.
Blind incontinent halfling could avoid that.
Let's see.
yeah, how mean are you as the dwarf player? Yeah, it's all right. Good lad.
They're down a player.
I think this is definitely the mean dwarves build. Yeah, I would concede if this was me.
It's not getting any better. It's just getting worse from this point. Isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I think that's in all fairness justified to concede here. It's also within the rules, but definitely also I think what I would do. Cool. That was the matches. That was some really nice matches.
Yeah, there's some good stuff there.
Yeah. So we done a little bit like a TV chef kitchen thingy here, and gonna cover a little bit of the redraft for you that wants to know a little bit more about the redraft, since there's not been that many questions, I will hopefully be able to go through this a little bit quickly. Seems most of you have understanding of, but I just wanted to show it so that those who are interested can see it. So, at the end of the season, instead of the usual 1400 cap that we have had in the past, what we're going to go now is going to use the redraft as more or less described in the books. And one of the things that means is that you basically have to rebuy your team. So you get $1 million gold to start with as the base to buy for. You get 200,000 from sponsors, and then you get a 20k gold for each of the 11 matches you have. So at minimum, you are getting 1.4 and 2 million gold. That is bare minimum, regardless of whatever you do. If you win any of the matches, let's say you win any one match, you get 20 gold. If you draw, you get 10, and that is stacked on top of that. So is any gold that you have at the end of the season. Let's say you have 10 gold, 10,000, and that will be added on top of that. This is the actual number that you get to sort of spend for. So minimum, the actual number, and the more wins, the more draws, and the more gold you saved up. I think it's probably possible, but it's really hard to get less than 40,000 gold at the end of the season from your last match, right? So if you just save up in the last match, you do nothing throughout the whole system. You win one time and you draw twice. Just as a good example here, you will get 1.5 million, which also happens to be the max cap, which also means that it's really hard not to get the max cap here also. Minimum and the max cap. And whether that is from gold you stored or from wins and draws, you can also look at it this way. If you get 4 wins, get 0 draws, and 0 gold stored, you also have the 1.5 million. If you get more, this is just for number's sake, you will still be capped at the 1.5. So even if you would have got otherwise more, it's capped at 1.5. So most likely you can also, if you had a really bad season, you not won any matches, you not drawn anything, if you just basically save up from your last 2 matches, lo and behold, you still have 1.5. So getting to the 1.5 should be for, I would almost say, like, if you don't get that, you have to deliberately choose to not get it, because it is more or less otherwise impossible to not get the 1.5 million. So that is how you get the money to spend. Then, just like we've done in the other seasons, you get to basically team value, but the difference is here that there's a fee, meaning you pay 20k for each new player you want to hold between 2 seasons. So this is my current team. Just like in any other seasons, those who are missing next game at the end of the season will, of course, recover and be part of the next season. So that's why their cost is listed over here. It's the same as they are. They, however, have to pay 20k to remain from this season to next season, because it's 20k per season. So this just totals those 2 numbers. And then down here, it totals that again. Of course, all the players. And this is for the APOC and the free rerolls. And that leaves this team, if I was to redraft it, would be 1.860, which is 360 more than the limit. That means that I need to do something. So a quick and dirty way of doing that is saying, instead of having 12 players, I'm going to cut one of my players. He's removed. I pay 0. That helps a bit. I could get a new blitzer instead of keeping one of these lovely blitzers that I have. I could maybe have to do that with 2 of them. Just as an example. So instead of using these numbers, it is saying a new blitzer is 80k, 80k, and this is removed, so it's 0. And since they're not redrafted, they don't pay a fee. That's why it's the bare cost of these players that you are paying. These numbers again total up is this. I could also remove rerolls. I could cut other players. I could do other ways to achieve lowering my number. I need to be at that number that I have up here, which is most likely going to be for all of us, those 1.5 million. So when you total up this needs to be 1.5 or less. This is what's going to happen for the first season. So let's assume that my team has played 2 seasons. And some magical reason, this now is the same team, but it's now been played for 2 seasons. So instead of paying 20, I have to pay 40k for each of my players, because they are now 2 seasons old. You can see this drastically changes how much I have to cost. And then I'll maybe cut some. And then the season after, I keep some. And some of them are not as old. So at some point, it would start looking like different numbers here. The game will keep track of that. But that means that this player who is down here would have been here for 3 seasons. He's much more heavy than a player up here who is a fresh cut. So in this case, I would be much more inclined to maybe cut this player, because it would help me a lot more. Because the fee for them to be redrafted stacks for each seasons they have played in. So it would most likely be the players that have played most seasons. And since that would not bring me down to 11, that would be enough. Just give me a walk. And I might just cut all my... Let's see what we can do here. This one is expensive too. And we could cut all the rerolls in that, and it will be down below. Right? Just as examples. So for the first season, these will all be 20, because it's their first season that they've been here for. But that will accumulate over the season that we play. So after the next season that we played, then those fees for those who are still from this will be 40k, and that will accumulate over time. And this is why, when we talked about it earlier, LittleWing, like I said, like as long as you can get decent new players at a fairly good cost, like cutting a blitzer for a new blitzer isn't as huge of a loss as sacrificing a lizardman source for a new source, because sources need skills to really work right. And if you only keeping 4 players, they can easily have a higher fee to pay for if you're keeping many. And for those who are mathematically astute, you can also look at it this way. So in the past, the team value limit has been 1400, which technically is now higher if you don't pay any fees. If you don't pay any fees, because you're rehiring all your players, you can technically have a higher team value at the start of a new season than you could in the past. However, as soon as you buy for, say, just funny enough, for 100k in fees, that team value would now magically be the same as before. Let's just cut this so it matches. Cut all these. Right. So because I'm paying 5 fees, that's 100,000. That basically means that this team value, because this doesn't turn into team value, this does. So at the new season after this, if these were rehires, these 5, I would technically have a team value limit of 1400 as we have. If I was to rehire basically my whole team, which is basically paying fees that equates to 240, I would be, what's that? It's math in my head, it's always dangerous. What's 1260, right? Team value. So the more you pay in fees, the lower the team value you will have at the start of new season. That is also something to be mindful of. So technically, you can actually have more than 1400 of the new season, max 1500, but then you have all fresh players, a lot of rerolls, a lot of staff and stuff like that. But then you could technically have higher. As soon as you have paid for more than 5, let's call it fee tickets, you are down to the same. If you pay for more than 5, you are technically going to have lower team value than you had the season before in the old system with the 1400. Any questions?
I don't think it's going to make that much a difference in season 1.
No, I don't. I don't think. I think season 1 is going to be much the same.
Yeah.
I think team values are going to be a little bit lower. Not much, but a bit lower. I think I had a just for funsies look at my team, and I think I could keep. I was planning on keeping like 6 or 7 of my players. 7 players, I think it was. So that's 7 times fees. So technically, I would have an even lower team value at the start next season, but not a huge difference. But once you start being like, if I want to keep the Queen Mephimus for a lot of seasons, that number is going to really start to weigh heavy, right?
Yeah.
And that's why, like I said, like if you're playing something like Wood Elves, where you can afford to just focus on like I have 2 good war dancers and a good catcher, you can put all your fees into those 3 players and just recycle everything else. Whereas if you have 6 Sauruses alone just to keep them from one season to another, that's 12, right? And if you do that 2 seasons, that 2 point, well, it really quickly goes. That's not including gigs, right? So building your teams, keeping a production line of new players is definitely going to be a thing once we get over the first season. The first season, the difference is not going to be big. But as time goes over, these fees will start to rack up really quickly. I think this player, for example, here, I think that player 6 seasons. So that player alone in fees would be 120k alone in fees, right?
Yeah.
And I think I had a look. I think most of my players are several seasons old. So I think if I was to pay as if we had been running with this system, I think I would more or less pay the same in fees as I would pay for my team if I kept everyone. But yeah. But yes. So if you have any questions, I know both me and Phil, and probably also you, would be more than happy to answer them and type them in our normal Discords. And if you have questions, there is also something about like retiring your players and having them fix injuries and stuff like that. But that I don't understand that system fully yet, so I will spare that unless you can explain that.
Yeah, I think you just you make a roll at the end of the on a 1 to 3, the player isn't healed. On a 4 to 6, the player is healed. But
I think I've heard you need to retire the player before the end of the season.
that's right, yeah.
And it's a 4+, but if you have an apothecary, you get to add 1, so that's basically a 3+.
Add 1. But if it fails, you carry it into the next season from the start, yeah.
Yeah. And you can downgrade stat busts down to nickels, and you can remove nickels with the same roll, basically. So as far as I understand it, if you have 2 nickels, you roll 2 dice, and each of those who succeed will remove that. And if you roll for a stat bust, it will reduce the stat bust to a nickel. But it makes it so that players can more to say like better recover. So I not that it's important, but one of these guys has a passing stat bust. I could technically get that removed over 2 seasons. Because as far as I understand, you don't get to roll for stat to nickel and then 1 more in the same season. So you need to do that over 2 seasons.
Yeah.
But it also means that there's your players will actually be able to survive a lot longer. There's of course a management of when it happens in the season. If it's for the first match and you have to retire for the rest of the season, that's a long time. Because as far as I remember, they still fill the position. So if it's a blitzer, for example, you will only be able to fill 3 blitzers for the rest of the season. It will not count towards your team value for those matches, but it will count as towards those positions. But yeah. Terms and conditions and details may apply to this. But that's at least my current understanding of it. But yeah,
Well explained it.
yes.
I'm really looking forward to it. Actually, I quite like the this sort of cap management at the end of the season. I think this adds a little bit extra to it.
I definitely think this will be a step in the right direction, and I think it will benefit different teams than the old system, and make it more dynamic. The only thing that and that's a Games Workshop decision. That's not something that UKBBL is in any way able to do anything about. But I think Games Workshop put these fees too high per season. I think they should have been half, so that the longevity of players would have been longer, because it really accumulates really quickly. Like even if you have, like, let's just say like a normal team, you probably want to keep 8 players, preferably. Like that would be nice, right? So if you cut for the other, right, alone that is 1.6, right? I can see then I don't. Well, it's because I have 12 players here. Need to.
So Mathimus had a good take in chat, which was could have based it on player level, which I thought was quite a good idea as well.
Definitely, I think there's ways that it could have been done that made, or just basically say like 1K per each match. It also means that if you hire someone at the very end of the season, it doesn't matter as much, because it actually just means like you're paying at the end of the season 1K for each match those players. It would also mean like some of these players, like they played 6 seasons, that's 60 matches, round numbers, right? They would be paying 60K instead of 120.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is the way that Games Workshop designed it. This is the way it's been implemented. So there's not really much we can do in that regards, other than say that's the way it is. But like this really accumulated quickly, right? Like this is just theory crafting here, right? But like if you have 5 with 1 season, 3 with 2, right? That's 220K. And from that 500, that brings you down to 1280. So it really stacks up quickly.
It does, yeah. I think you're going to get more of a arena or tabletop feel to the league, which will be a shame for the players that, you know, like the squad building aspect, you know, getting to level 7. I think Hall of Famers are going to be a thing of the past now. I can't see anyone.
I think they're going to be super rare, at least.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I think I don't think it's player like this, or this will be likely forward, because they're just they're too heavy, and it takes too many seasons. Whether it's a War Dancer or a Catcher or Gunnerman or something like that, they can score a lot of touchdowns in a season, so they can really build up some star player. So they could probably still make it to level 7 within a, let's call it I think you basically will have 3 seasons, and then after the 4th you gotta fire them, in most cases, right? And of course always rare cases where you be like, I'm still willing to pay that, but yeah, I think overall here in fees, like I said, that there's probably over $1 million for this team. Right? So, shall we have a look at the predictions?
Let's do it.
So, prediction-wise, let's start from the top here. For those, we had a started prediction, and so this is Phil's predictions for All of East, and then over here is the color markings for the equivalent, and it just seems to happen that I think Kinjo or Dread got moved up. I think it was. That's why he's not here anymore.
No, Chuck. So Chuck re-rolled his team.
Oh, might be why I couldn't find him. So that's a bad example. So let's just go on to the next one. So the way it works is the 3 predictions. You get the color coded, the light green to the light green, the medium green to the medium green there. So, and then you have the numbers here that they actually placed at. And it also means like a prediction like this one means that for the calculation of points of how good these predictions are is really heavy and bad, and the higher they are, so in this case down here is a good example. You see the numbers where he predicted number 1 correctly. He put his number 3 is actually number 3, so that's pretty good still. Number 2 is off, so you see he gets a lot more points this one than compared to this one up here. But I think at least from overall, Phil's numbers have been either hit or miss. Like this is a good example of a leak that is definitely a bit of a miss. This is not the way Phil predicted it. He has the awareness and here Phil has done quite well. I especially like that his number 1 prediction is number 1 despite having played a match less than everyone else. That's pretty comfortable lead, I would say.
Looking locked in for the future, yeah.
Yeah. So and again about like this is I think the division that has been most spot on so far. Of course, terms and conditions I apply, but this is definitely looking good for Phil, this one.
It's pretty good going, that one.
Yeah. This is a little bit more scattershot, but still pretty good. Do like the 2 Wood Elves being at top, but that's not so surprising in a league of new teams. And also good coaches, of course. Colsey Hills, those are mine. I think this is the one I did best in. So, of course, it's a good place to start. It makes me feel, oh no, fuzzy. I'm happy to see that Morten Keenan again disappoints me. I've been warned that every time that I predict him, he will do badly. So I'm going to keep predicting him purely for that. Definitely, I think it's worth it. So, but yeah.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, pretty good.
That's pretty good.
I might suffer a little bit the same way that Bill does, that either I do good or not so good. This
Well,
could
got a top 3 there.
Yeah, but I'm really hoping these start to pick up a little bit, because otherwise this is going to be really heavy on my average, definitely. This one actually done pretty well too.
That's pretty good as well.
Yeah, pretty decent at least.
And you've got the Just the Bullies only played 3 there as well. The same with
yeah, they
Alan,
can
so-
actually both jump higher. So in that sense,
Yeah.
it is potentially even better than that. But it could also just be that. Or technically, there's also some down here that hasn't played, so they can also jump up. But yeah.
Oh, they're playing each other. It looks like.
Oh yeah, you Phil and Snow Troll is one of those where you have the both on your predictions. So no matter who gets the points, you're both happy and sad because they're taking points from each other.
Absolutely.
Yeah. They didn't score any
So-
points, but Blue Lights did.
Yeah, that's going to look better after tonight, I think.
Yeah, because he's gonna surpass Max. Yeah. So that's gonna be most likely a 4 after this. That's even better. Yeah. Last season's FA Cup winner. And we have 2 undefeated teams, which I think is pretty impressive. So this is going to be, I think this is going to be interesting to see who gets this one at the end. But
Sort of rooting for Waldorf to get out of that division. He's been close for 2 seasons now.
I think Waldorf, if he was to play any other race than the Old World Lies, he would be in Prem. But I just... And the funny thing is, as much as Chaos Renegades function and is quite a balanced, fair team, the Old World Alliance is just not in the same league.
Yeah,
Which
it's
I think-
weird. It looks like it should work, but it never does. It's,
No, and it is weird in that way. I think it's because the three big guys effect covers a lot, whereas the Old World Alliance still only have one big guy, and they don't have enough positionals ish to cover for that gap.
No.
Of course, big guys is also more unreliable, but I think if you were to give Old World Alliance a second big guy, I think it would definitely help a lot. So, but yeah, Baniz's orcs, wasn't he the one who won, or was he the one? No, they drawed. Yeah,
It was, yeah, 1-1, yeah.
yeah. So, I'm thinking the Old World Alliance were happy about that in one way, and not so happy in the other way that they didn't get that touchdown at the end.
Yep.
Then we get to yours, Ram.
Oof. Well, having said that, so Ame Mathimus has got a admin win
Yeah.
this week.
Definitely going to help.
So that's going to help.
Yeah.
But it's not looking good at the moment. 14 points from a last place pick there.
No, but even if you get like 4 points, you'll come up to around 9. These have some... they don't help play, so you'll probably not pass one of these. So you'll probably be number 10, right?
Yeah, maybe. We'll see.
I'll help quite a bit with the points in fairness. But I think
Okay, that's pretty-
this is actually a bit of an interesting league in that sense that we did the poll for who people think is going to make it, and I think it's very telling that people are really split generally. Like there's ones, twos, and a single number 3 vote, right? And Textra is, at least so far, running away with it. So everyone agreed on that part, more or less, right? To some extent. And then everyone else was like, but we're not sure about anything else. And I think also if I look at the points that's sort of reflected over here.
Yeah, it was wide open.
Yeah. So I think this is definitely going to be very interesting to see how this goes.
It's good to see some Orcs up there as well, some Black Orcs up at the
Oh,
top.
definitely. I've also seen that rooster, and it is a... Oof, that's a rough team to play against. That's some
Yeah.
evil Black Orcs. So I'm not surprised that it is the agility teams that can better, I would say, survive that sort of encounter. But yeah, be interesting to see how that turns over the season. Then we got West.
Yep. Well, thank you, Archangel. You're basically propping up my points single-handedly at the moment.
I'm trying my best to help you here.
And I guess Phil's up to 4th now after that.
Yeah. So Snow
Louis
Troll will
Drew.
go down to 9, right? From losing, and then
Yeah.
Phil would go up
To 4th.
4th. Yeah, he probably.
Unless Louis got a better. Put 5th, that's the last he can.
Yeah.
He can end.
Well, that definitely helps with the.
Oh, that's
He has, however, something a little bit more to prove here.
Yeah.
Definitely think. But I would also say, like, when we looked at his team earlier when he was playing like that is definitely a team that has the potential to go far, right?
Yeah. But it's sort of a team that's been built to combat a lot of bash, isn't it? And I
It
wonder
is.
if that's
Oh yeah,
going to harm their ability to play Agi. I don't know.
I think that frenzy tackle mighty blow piece and his falling piece is going to be key in those matchups.
Yeah.
But yeah, West have been quite more bashy for a lot of the seasons, so definitely
say it's nice to see Louis and Antarctic, and even Lockestar holding their own, because admin at West last season. Good guys, good players.
Yeah.
It's good to see them come up and
I,
do
I,
well.
I always like to see the new guys come in and do well, because it's sort of reaffirming that it's possible to do that sort of thing. Whereas if there has been in some of the previous seasons where the new guys came in and basically got beaten and then just were forced out again, and I think that's sort of a shame. And so I'm happy to see this, and I think that's the effect of having that limit of 1400, and I think
Yeah.
the redraft will definitely do that.
Yeah.
So this is the page that I care probably most about.
Look at me, just with those little adjustments I've
Those
shot into.
last minute adjustments made you were trailing a little bit behind us, and now you have surpassed us. So I'm quite happy with that, because it also means that both you and I are basically doing better than Phil. And I'm
Wow.
not saying anything more than that. I'm just saying that makes me a lot happy that both you and I do better than Phil.
Yeah, it's match day 4. Let's not go over the
Let's
top.
let's end it here. This I think this is a good point to end. I think this is definitely the right point to stop. I don't think we need to play any more matches, and just call it the season, and that's it.
Yeah, absolutely. I concur.
At least for the prediction. At least for the prediction. That would be grand. No, there is much to do, and many matches left, and it would definitely be interesting.
Yeah.
For those who love data the way that I do, I have spreadsheets like this, and if you want anyone else wants a copy of it, so you can do it for your own division, I will gladly send you a copy. I'm not going to sit out and fill out this for every single division. But if you do, what you get is something like this. A lovely, lovely graph that shows how each of the different teams and players are doing and how their journey is looking. And for someone like me who loves data, I think this is really interesting to see. It gives a great visualization of how the different players, how to say, points gathering has gone. Like you can see Solid Tech Trace on a steep curve, just doing his thing, going straight forward, and Core Bear, for example, having a good start and then not having such a great start from there on, and Concrete Snail starting off strong and then struggling a bit more, right? And I think in that way it tells a very interesting story of how the progression is going for the different teams, and I find that really interesting.
So that's not currently sharing to Twitch.
Is that not shared to Twitch?
No.
That is interesting. That is interesting. So I will. Will I have to do maybe? Does this help? Yes, this helps.
There we go.
There we go. So this is, of course, the other team. So I'll have to do like this, and then it'll go back. So yeah, here we go. Here we go. So I made this for East and West Prem. I will keep these two abstract. If anyone wants a copy and they can fill in their divisions, I will help you to do that and set it up. It takes like 2 minutes, just more filling out these numbers. And then you get these graphs. And now you can actually see them, which makes them a lot more interesting, I think. But yeah, you can see then here the different journeys of the different players and how they sort of over time progressed with their points. And you can see like some had a rough start and then starting to pick up, and some of them had a really good start from great start, trailed off. And if I'm unlucky, I can do like this and this, and Twitch will now show the other one. Perfect. And I think West is a good example. Again, there's missing some data here for the matches of today, right? But it's very cluttered in the middle here. That there's no one who's won all, and there's no one who's lost all, which I think is really good. gives a more, how to say, tense and competitive part, which I think is really good. Cool. Is there anything else we need to touch on tonight?
I think we've covered everything.
Cool. Then I need to find the right window here so I can click on the right thing. And then I will say thank you, everyone, for those who are watching it live and those who are going to watch later. And take care. And see you next time.
Goodbye, everyone.